Yo, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. Today we have Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 38, the ultimate food episode. A lot of eggs, a lot of eggs and a lot of food and a lot of eating. Maybe this episode really didn't make me hungry. I swear to God, I'm cooking right now as I'm making this video. But right now, I'm gonna go to basically this episode starts off with a woman who is a food critic who ends up, she basically says that she's eating so much food that she wants something new and delicious to taste, and she ends up becoming a hitotsuki, and she ends up eating people. And we also get a peek into what being inside of a hitotsuki kind of looks like. You know, I always complained about, like, why does every hitotsuki just eat people or make people disappear in some type of way? And now kind of got an idea of what that actually looks like, a little pocket dimension. And we even have Inu brother even say that, you know, like I didn't even think he even knew what that was, but he knew what it was. But I'm skipping ahead myself. So this episode basically starts off with so we see that Inu brother has basically been called in and stuff like that. Talking to Haruka's mom, Mrs. Kuga, and telling them how he basically tells them everything about the bestial, and you know, basically what happened to him between all the bestials, and also the bestial forest, or the slumber forest. He tells them about it, and she asks him, "How did you get out?" And he does it. He's like, "I don't know how I got out. I guess someone freed me from this. Someone freed me from this place," and he doesn't know how he got out of there. So he ends up leaving and going to. He ends up meeting up with. Pink, and Pink basically tells him, like, "Oh man, that's Tsubasa." He remembers when Tsubasa was a bestial and was force feeding him food and stuff like that. And he's happy that he's actually back to normal. So he actually invites him to come. Come on a reservation with it, come to a reservation to a restaurant with him, since he got all that bounty money. He wanted to take everybody out. So he's like, "Oh, okay." So he ends up going back. He ends up actually going back to his house with him. He ends up going back to his house with Kijino's house with him, and he ends up seeing the doll that he's been calling Miho. And he did say he'd been in the alleyway. He basically told him that, "Hey, Miho's back," and he's talking to this doll and whatever. And he's like. And he feels weird he feels weird telling Kijino that, "Oh, this is not Miho, that's a freaking doll." So they end up going back. They end up going to this restaurant. While they're going to this restaurant, everybody kind of ends up getting in arguments with each other. With Jiru end up turning into Totobolt and getting into it with Tato. We see that Yellow and Blue end up getting into it with each other when Blue keeps patronizing her about her and Sanoza getting close with each other. And we also see how Kijino and Tsubasa go at it about the whole Miho thing, and he tells him that, "Hey, I guess I gotta be blunt with you about this, but yeah, that's not Miho. It's a freaking doll." So they have this big argument thing going on. Then the head chef ends up coming out there and kind of dismissing kind of getting everybody to get quiet, and also says that, "Hey, you all need to pay up and exit the premises." So also him and Tsubasa kind of get into it about the food and stuff like that, and also Kijino can't pay the check, so yeah, he gotta do some work and stuff like that to pay off the bill. So we ended up seeing that him and not Sonoza. Why did I say Sonoza? Tsubasa and the head chef end up getting into it and actually talking about, "Hey, we're gonna have this kind of cook-off kind of thing," and they ended up everybody basically ends up leaving the restaurant, and we see that everybody kind of goes back to Tsubasa's place, and Tsubasa talks about he's been on the run for a long time, and he also brings up stuff about himself and his dad and stuff like that, which I hope kind of plays kind of like some kind of role later. But you know how Donbrothers is very unpredictable, especially with the person who is directing it. Very, very, like, unpredictable, so we don't know where that's going to go at all. We also got to a small conversation between Tato and Inu and Tsubasa, talking about, say, "Hey, I came across a bestial that looked like you. Are you okay?" and stuff like that. He's like, "I don't know," and it got me wondering, like, and Tato kind of wondered, like, how do you know what a bestial is? And I was like wondering that too. I was like, "Oh, come on, man, y'all gotta end this freaking y'all gotta end this thing. Y'all gotta end this thing quick, man. Come on, we almost at the end. We almost at the end of this season. Y'all need to hurry up and find out who each other is. So, so we end up getting to that. We end up seeing that the food critic woman, they end up having to cook off, and the food critic woman, she ends up coming in there, and she ends up not like basically liking the food, but like she ends up transforming into her hitotsuki self, and she ends up eating Tsubasa and the head chef guy, and she just ends up leaving after that. We end up seeing that she ends up leaving after that, and we see that that's how we get a glimpse of what being inside of a hitotsuki is like. We see that it gave me a lot of Kamen Guy vibes with, you know, like, are we getting Invis in this at all? Like, is that gonna happen? I don't know, but yeah. So it's seeing all the other people that she ended up eating, and since they've been in there for a long time, everybody's kind of like dying of hunger. So they end up finding like this blue fruit, and I'm like, oh man, this is a lot of freaking Kamen Guy vibes. You know, fighting like this blue fruit, and they end up telling all the people that, hey, maybe we can find some more of these, and you know, maybe we can find some more of these and try to figure out where that's going. So they end up splitting up and finding like a bunch of other like fruits and stuff. So we see that the rest of the team kind of intercepts the woman, intercepts the critic woman while she's in her hitotsuki form. She ends up they end up fighting her off. They end up fighting her, and when they end up fighting her, we see that Sarah Brands end up fighting them as well, end up joining in and fighting them as well. So now we end up seeing Taro transform into gold in Momotaro again, and actually uses his full power attack, and uses his ultimate attack, and he jumps out of the way. While this is happening, we end up seeing Sonoza ends up releasing Murasame from his seal, so now even Murasame is been put into the fray and things like that. We also got to see Jiru talking to his, you know, his friend Rumi and things like that. So it kind of she's actually leaving this time. So he is up, you know, saying bye to her as she leaves to go back to the countryside. So yeah, that's when Jiru gets in on the battle as well. He transforms into Totobolt again. So now that, and even we see that since Rumi kind of healed Jiru, and also the penguin bestial making some type of appearance, we see that he says that, well, Totobolt basically said that I feel a lot stronger now ever since he got healed up. He feels stronger than he was before, which I'm kind of questioning that as well. Like, what did Rumi put in that food to heal you up like that? So they ended up fighting off the woman Hitotsuki and stopping the Sarah brand from actually taking her out. And then they ended up fighting Murasame. Murasame said he felt like his power was overflowing, and he is transforming into the dark Onitaijin. And we know what we're gonna do. We're gonna get that weird low textured CGI fight, and they ended up fighting him and battling him off, and ended up defeating him, but he ends up running off as usual. So when he runs off, we end up seeing that everybody kind of goes off and starts having like food of their own, basically. And we see a Jiru shares food with Taro, and we see that Sonoi is going back to that regular, you know, old man spot by himself. He ends up eating the food and things like that, and he ends up like, it's kind of like a food wars moment. Kind of like a food wars one where they kind of like have the food gasm type thing, where everybody's just like, man, that food's good, and they end up like spiritually leaving their bodies. That kind of happens with when Taro eats the food that Jiru gave him, and Jiru, they said that Rumi made this food, and he has like this out of body experience. Not really out of body experience, because Jiru sees it. We see that Taro kind of floats off into the atmosphere, and even Sonoi ends up floating back into, while he's sitting there with the old man, he disappears, and he's floating back into he's floating back into the base of where the Cerebrands live, which was actually pretty freaking funny. But other than that, episode kind of ends off right there, man. Also, we got like a cool little scene with Pink, Blue, and Sonoi fighting over these eggs. These eggs were, you know, from a random old man in the woods from a free range chicken farm. But yeah, and also we see Pinky ends up going back home and talking to the Miho doll, and then out of nowhere, the regular Miho pops up and says welcome home, and it's just like, what? The episode ends off right there. So I guess she popped back from Natsumi to Miho again. I don't know what's, man. It's so wishy washy, but that's how Don Brothers is. It's very unpredictable. We weren't expecting that to happen. Also, I kind of understand why Miho is back, because we haven't seen Natsumi at all. Like, we haven't even really seen the actual Natsumi, unless you're talking about like Natsumi in the Slumber Forest. But other than that, we have not seen Natsumi at all. So it makes sense of why Miho is actually back right now. But episode ends off right there, man. It was pretty, intermission type episode, kind of fillerish kind of episode with little sprinkles of lore sprinkled in there, things like that. And yeah, but also, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Don Brothers. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and stay Henshin.